With Lululemon, the real gift happens when they're living in it. When you give the fan favorite everywhere belt bag, the real gift is... And when the ultra-soothing Rest Feel slides are the gift, you're really giving them... This holiday, Lululemon makes it easy to give little luxuries that go beyond. Open the moment. Shop now at Lululemon.com.
This is Sid and Friends in the morning.
But you say he's just a friend.
Oh, you're my best friend.
77 WABC.
Oi! Israel will not recognize the validity of this decision. We will continue to do everything we must do to defend our citizens and defend our state against Iran's axis of terror. Iran and its terrorist proxies, which include Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and others. Our enemies are your enemies, and our victory will be your victory, the victory of civilization over barbarism and tyranny.
Great song, Lou. That was Bibi Netanyahu, this ICC, which is a complete joke. It's so silly. These jerk-offs, CNN, MSNBC, they take it like it's serious. You know, Bibi, they're going to arrest him. They're not getting anywhere near Bibi. He's not getting arrested, him or Gallant. It's complete nonsense. But it does go to show you the anti-Semitism around the world and the nonsense that these networks cover. Nobody cares about the ICC. Special thanks to Colleen Smith, Nassau County Police, who sent me the sweetest message based on Teddy Atlas's words you heard last segment. But getting back to Bibi, so we had the film crew in yesterday from One Israel Fund. Danielle and I were here. And that is Scott Beltman's organization that has sent me and Justin to Israel now twice over the last 8 months. And what was supposed to be this one-time deal, let me go there after October the 7th. Then it was my idea to go back this October the 7th. It looks like now we're in a lifetime contract. And they want to send us a couple of times a year because, believe it or not, the people in Israel, both the big shots like Alex Traiman coming on next and just the people walking the streets, I can't believe it's true. I can't believe it. But according to these people, love it when I'm there. It matters. So now we're already putting together the next trip, which will be for Israeli Independence Day, which is late April. But before that, on December the 19th, here in New York City, One Israel Fund will be holding their annual gala. They're celebrating 30 years this year. Michael Rappaport, my dear friend, who I took to Israel last time, he's coming. He's going to host the event. You know, the actor Nate Buzz, not Jewish, Vampire Diaries, but a huge pro-Israel supporter. He's going to be there that night, and a host of others. And they're going to honor a couple of people, including Danielle and Sid Rosenberg. So the video crew came here yesterday, thank you, Lou and Justin, to get video of me and Danielle talking about this wonderful night. And it's important to me to maintain this relationship, not only because they pay for my trips, but on a serious note, because I have fallen in love with Judea and Samaria, which you goyim out there and you Israel haters, even some of you Israel supporters call the West Bank. And I'm going to tell you, calling it the West Bank is demeaning. It is. It's Judea and Samaria. They don't say Judea because it sounds like Jew. But that's what it is. And we want Israeli sovereignty there. So Coming up in about 50 minutes, an old friend of mine, now in David Friedman's position for President Trump, the newest Donald Trump ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, will join me coming up in about 50 minutes. But first, he is the man at jns.org. Our last 2 Israel trips, we did 6 live shows from jns.org in Jerusalem. He's come on now to become a dear, dear friend of mine, Danielle, my whole family. He's the great Alex Traiman in Jerusalem as we speak. Alex, good Shabbos.
Good morning, Sid. Good morning.
How are you, buddy?
Doing well. We're doing okay over here.
So I know that you're very, very close with David Friedman, and you know how close David and I have become. And I was surprised. I was almost shocked after the job he did the first time for Trump, the Abraham Accords, and I know him and Trump talked often. I was really surprised that Trump did not pick him again to be his ambassador to Israel. He went with Mike Huckabee. Now, Huckabee's a great guy, very pro-Israel, been to Israel 1,000,000 times, represents the Judeo-Christian values that this country was built upon. I love Huckabee. I got no issue with Mike Huckabee. But I was surprised Friedman was not invited back. And by the way, still has not gotten a role in the Trump administration. Are you surprised?
Well, Friedman was a historic ambassador, and he's about as popular here in the state of Israel as anybody. You don't see too many holdovers from the first Trump administration getting senior roles in the second one. So I guess it's not totally surprising. Could very well be that he'll have a role before this is over. But I think Mike Huckabee is an outstanding choice for ambassador for a lot of reasons, and most particularly because the bedrock of support for the state of Israel in the United States, sadly, is not always all of the American Jewry, but rather there's a much, much larger number of pro-Israel Christians out there in the United States that really love the state of Israel and want to protect it as the Jewish homeland. And I think that Huckabee is going to do a great job to galvanize that support, entrench it further. And he's also he's a big lover of Judea and Samaria. Like you said, he said there's no such thing as the West Bank. And I think he's going to do a great job of implementing some really meaningful policies that are going to transform the state of Israel and the United States-Israel relationship.
So one of the you saw me in the Jerusalem Post a couple of days ago, yes? You saw that?
I did see that.
That's a big deal, man. I'm on the inner circle, Traiman. I'm a Jew in the Trump inner circle. But getting back to the vote for a second, Trump, there's like a fight going on here in that, Lizzie Sabetsky was on this show a couple of weeks ago, and she said 79%, 80% basically, of Jewish people did not vote for Trump. We know he did very well in New York. Over 40% of Jews in New York voted for Trump. But nationwide, about 80% did not vote for Trump. And she made a comparison, analogizing that to when the Jews left Egypt. And she took quite a beating and still is on my Instagram page. But there's been kind of a battle back and forth about how well did Trump really do. And most supporters say, no, he did better than getting just 20% of the Jewish vote nationwide. What do you guys think in Israel about the turnout and the positive results for Donald Trump from the Jewish people?
Yeah, from as far as we can tell, all of the most engaged Jews, whether that's from a religious perspective or whether it's just from like an Israel activism, really caring about Israel perspective, from all we can tell, there's not too many Jews out there that are unhappy that Trump became the president, and most everybody I know said that they wanted to vote for Trump. So if Israel and Jewish causes were in their top 5 concerns, I think the amount of people in that category that voted for Trump was overwhelming majority. For a lot of Jews out there where the state of Israel is not in their top 5 concerns and they're not that active Jewishly, a lot of them are more liberal. And then you have the really progressive ranks of the Jewish people, even some that do engage with Israel, like J Street and others that certainly wouldn't vote for Trump. But J Street went as far as to basically say yesterday that they supported the ICC decision for the arrest warrants of Benjamin Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant. So, they're not necessarily working on the same team over here.
Well, I'll tell you this. Again, this is my dear friend, the CEO of JNS.org. No better place to get your news in Israel. I mentioned the Post, not even close, okay? JNS.org. That's where you go, my dear friend, Alex Traiman. But this, you heard me what I said earlier, this ICC stuff, it's a joke, man. I mean, I know that the liberal media makes a big deal about it. The Jew haters, they make a big deal about it, but it's a joke. Bibi's not getting arrested. Gallant's not getting arrested. This is just another opportunity for the Bibi and Israel haters to kind of yell and scream. But there's no one that's really nervous, including Bibi, that these arrest warrants are going to turn into anything. Is there?
Well, yeah, I got to disagree with you a little bit here. There are a lot of countries out there, specifically in Western Europe and Canada, elsewhere, where they don't love the state of Israel so much. And, if Netanyahu would touch down in those countries, then he could be arrested. You have countries that are out there saying they're going to consider the rulings and are going to decide. But once the arrest warrants are out there, then police can go in those.
Well, can you give me some country? Let's be honest. Some of these countries, Bibi's not going anywhere near there, okay? Give me a country that you deem a place where Bibi might end up where they can, in fact, do what you're talking about.
England, Italy, France. These are all the Western Europe, Canada. These are countries where Netanyahu could potentially get arrested if he steps foot in those countries. But the other thing is that this is a slippery slope, as we see also with the sanctions that the Biden administration started to put on settlers and others in Israel. Once you start issuing arrest warrants, okay, now you're only going to issue them for the prime minister and the defense minister. What about the soldiers? You have over 100,000 soldiers that have participated in the war against Hamas in Gaza. Could the ICC start issuing arrest warrants for them? And if they just want to go on vacation in Europe, could they get picked up at the airport when they go through border control? So it is serious, and I think a lot of people here are taking it with some degree of caution.
Wow. See, that's why it's great you're on the show, because you lend a better perspective than me. I was just talking about Aaron Judge and Daniel Jones. This is the great Alex Traiman in Jerusalem. All right, so Bibi a little uncomfortable these days, which is nothing new for him. So the latest reports have our guys, that's Israel, bombing Gaza once again yesterday. I mean, serious bombing, and once again, people freaking out in the news. Here Israel goes again. Give me what's really going on in Gaza right now.
I'll tell you, first things first, there's still 101 people missing, which are the hostages that were taken, and we don't know their whereabouts, and the IDF continues to search for them.
Well, let me stop right there for 1 second before you go any further about the bombing yesterday. Sinwar's dead, okay? As far as I know, the second guy, he's dead. The third guy, he's dead. The fourth guy, he's dead. So who is Israel, or these clowns in the United States, even talking to now about where these hostages are? Can we get them back? Who are they communicating with?
Exactly. It's very complicated, and it's not even clear that whoever is running the show for Hamas is even aware of where all the hostages are. I mean, Sinwar's brother is apparently still alive and involved in running the military efforts inside the Gaza Strip. But we're getting to the point now where Israel continues to go after these groups of Hamas terrorists that are regrouping themselves and reorchestrating after the first round of going through the Gaza Strip and taking out the battalions. When they say they've destroyed a battalion, that means 50% killed or injured. But that could still leave 40% of the terrorists in those battalions to reorganize and to move elsewhere. So the idea continues to go back into places where it once was. Now, at the same time, we know that Hamas is stealing all of the humanitarian aid. We've seen it over and over again. They're literally shooting people that are getting close to it. And I think we're going to get to the point where Israel is going to take over the distribution of any humanitarian aid, and we'll see how much the United States demands that humanitarian aid get delivered once President Trump gets in office. He might turn around and say, hey, you want humanitarian aid? Give back the hostages.
Right.
That would be the first thing that you should say. But I think that you're going to see Israel start to say things that it wasn't saying earlier on in the war, which means that they're probably going to set up a provisional military government there, and Israel's going to be the sovereign over the territory for the time being.
Which is what Trump wants. He's okay with that. All he says to Bibi is, just finish him fast. That's all. Just do it fast. He doesn't even care how he does it. He's not going to be out there like these idiots, Biden, Harris, Blinken, Sullivan, criticizing Bibi for every military move. He just wants it over with because it's bad. It's bad for the people of Israel. It's bad for the people of America. It's bad for the world. That's the bottom line. So how heavy was this bombing in Gaza yesterday?
Yeah, they're continuing to bomb. I mean, it's an active war zone, both in Gaza and even more heavily in southern Lebanon. Where Israel's very active on two fronts right now.
Hold on, it's funny. It's funny you say two fronts. Hillel Fold, I know you love Hillel. He's a good friend. He's been in your studios a million times. He was on with me 2 days ago. So you said Israel's active on two fronts. I said to Hillel, I go, they're fighting a war on three fronts. Gaza, Judea and Samaria, Lebanon. He goes, Sid, hate to correct you, we're fighting a war on 7 fronts.
Yeah, it's 7 fronts. Netanyahu's been talking about 7 fronts. I just mean like yesterday. And we're very heavily active, continuously active in Gaza and also in southern Lebanon. But there's been Israeli airstrikes even this week in Syria. There are big threats now that Israel will attack positions inside Iraq. Israel's been attacked directly from Iran. Israel's been attacked directly from Yemen. Yeah, it's a 7-front war that Israel's on.
7 fronts. Wow. All right, so Huckabee, as we talked about early in this conversation, coming on at 7:45, and you like Mike. What do you expect? You said Israel's going to sound different, and they will because they can now have more confidence because they know that Trump will have their back, unlike this administration. What do Israelis, realistically, what do they think the Trump, Huckabee, new administration means? Do they think it's hostages are coming back? Do they think the war will end sooner than later? What are the expectations now from people on the ground by you in Jerusalem with these good guys taking over?
Well, the Trump administration said on day one they're going to stop slow-walking weapons over to Israel. They're going to give the weapons that Israel needs that are committed, right? The government has committed in an MOU to provide these weapons to Israel. So they will be moving over to Israel quickly so that they can win the war and win it fast. I think there's going to be less of an emphasis, less red lights put up by the administration, less emphasis on the humanitarian aid and trying to take care of the enemy, which is an unheard of scenario that somebody declares a war on you and then you have to care more about their citizens than they do.
Crazy.
So I think that's going to stop. I think we're going to potentially see the opening of the gates of Gaza so that residents of the Gaza Strip that want to leave can finally get out if that's what they want to do. I think you're going to see Israel say that they're going to maintain a military presence in Gaza for a long time. I think you're going to see that Israel is going to maintain a military presence in southern Lebanon for a long time. And I'm hopeful that Israel and or together with the United States will finally take out the Israeli nuclear reactors. And with that, we might also see the destruction of the Palestinian Authority in Judea and Samaria, known as the West Bank. We might see the application of Israeli sovereignty in some of those territories. And certainly we're going to see the support of Israel at the international institutions like the United Nations Security Council and also in places like the ICC and the ICJ.
Well, I hope all that happens. I really do. Like I said, there's a good chance, Alex, I'll be back for Israeli Independence Day. I believe that starts April the 30th. And I want to try to get back to Israel now every couple of months for the rest of my life because once you go, and I made this point to the videographer yesterday, once you go, you got to keep going back. And for all the folks here and around the world that have their strong opinions about Israel, it means nothing. If you haven't been there, if you haven't walked down the streets of Jerusalem with Alex Traiman, if you haven't had a Shabbos dinner with Alex or Judah Honickman in Efrat, if you haven't gone to shul on Yom Kippur in Israel, you just don't know. I'm telling you, man, you just don't know. You know that. You're an American. You come back and forth to the United States all the time. Is that not a fair statement? That unless you've been there, seen that dynamic every day between the Arabs and the Jews, what's really going on, you just don't know.
There's no doubt that the present and the future of the Jewish people is in the state of Israel. I mean, this is the center of all the action. The land, the culture, the language, all ties into being Jewish. And even if you're not religious, you just feel very Israeli, very Jewish here. There's a tremendous sense of pride about this country. Everybody cares, and even the people that argue with each other, they all doing it from a place of immense caring about the future of the Jewish people. And I think we're in the most exciting Jewish project since the destruction of the Second Temple.
Wow, that's a big statement. Good Shabbos, my dear friend Alex Traiman. It's always great having you on. You're always terrific, and continued success at jns.org. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks so much. Good Shabbos.
You're the best. There he is, Alex Traiman, the CEO of jns.org, on this happy Shabbos Friday morning.